Dear first year and high school students, I have discussed the simple and compound sentences, the clauses, phrases, parts of speech, parts of sentence, the definition of a sentence. All these things have gone. Today, I will discuss the adjective clause. Since noun clause has gone, yesterday I was discussing the noun clause. Today, I will start my discussion about the adjective clause. Noun clause, adjective clause, and adverb clause are the subordinate clauses. I have told you that they are all dependent clauses and they depend upon the main clause. They depend upon the main clauses. And when complex is there, complex sentence is there, you have to face the complexity and criticality, and the sentence becomes very complex and critical. That is why try to always try to avoid writing complex sentence. If you have that capacity to write, you write no doubt. If you are clear, you write, but try to avoid the complexity in sentences. Today, I will discuss the adjective clause or relative clause. Adjective clause or relative clause in a sentence is a subordinate clause, you do know. It is a subordinate clause which does the work of an adjective. It does the work of an adjective and so qualifies some noun or pronouns. Qualifies some nouns and pronouns. Its main function is to qualify. The adjective clause's main function is to qualify the nouns and the pronouns in the sentence. It is introduced by a relative pronoun or by a relative adverb. It is introduced by a relative pronoun or by a relative adverb like that, which, who, you write down, like that, which, who, and when, where and why, etc. And when, where and why. So, the relative clause is introduced by the relative pronoun or by a relative adverb. Like that, which, who, and when, where and why. That, which, who, and when, where and why. So all these are relative pronouns and adverbs, relative adverbs. So sometimes they are introduced by prepositions plus relative pronouns. Prepositions plus relative pronouns, such as by which, from where, by whom, etc. Because by is the preposition, after that there is a relative which. By is the preposition, after that there is a whom. And by is the preposition, after which, by whom is also, after which a relative is there, that is by whom. And from is the preposition, after that where is used, from where. So that is why they are also introduced by the relative clauses or the adjective clauses are introduced by prepositions plus or relative pronouns. Prepositions plus relative pronouns such as by which, by whom, from where, etc. Adjective clauses are called relative clauses, and some of the grammarians have already separated the relative clauses. Some of the grammarians, so they have said that there are defining relative clause and also the non-defining relative clauses, and they have told. But still, an adjective clause is otherwise known as a relative clause. So adjective clauses are called relative clauses because they are introduced by relatives. They are introduced by relatives. These relatives can be pronouns or adverbs. These relatives can be pronouns or adverbs. They are used immediately after the noun pronoun they modify. They are used immediately after the noun or pronoun they modify. So this is about the relative clause, and so many things are also there. We will discuss. The relative clauses are divided into two classes. Relative clauses or adjective clauses. Relative clauses, what we say? Relative clauses are divided into two classes. Number one is the defining relative clauses or restrictive relative clauses. Defining relative clauses or restrictive relative clauses. Non-defining relative clauses or non-restrictive relative clauses. Categories are two. The divisions are two only. Number one is defining relative clause. Number two is non-defining relative clause. Number one is defining relative clause, or it is otherwise known as restrictive relative clause. And the second one is a non-defining relative clause or non-restrictive relative clause. So their categories are two. Their divisions are two. A relative clause limits or restricts. A relative clause limits or restricts its antecedents. Antecedents are noun, sometimes pronoun. Pronoun and noun. Antecedents. A relative clause limits or restricts the antecedent, noun, pronoun, to one particular type so that it is clearly distinguished from others of the same class. It is clearly distinguished from others of the same class. This clause identifies the person or thing that is talked about. This clause identifies the person or the thing that is talked about. That is talked about. So, the defining relative clause is very necessary. A defining relative clause is very necessary to understand the antecedent, noun or pronoun. To understand the antecedent, noun or pronoun for which it is used. For which it is used. A defining relative clause. A defining relative clause can be used in the middle of a sentence, sometimes in the last. It can be used in the middle of the sentence, but a defining relative clause in a straight and simple form. In a straight and simple form can be used at the end of a sentence. It can be used either in the middle or in the end. So that is why I want to give you the example. You mark, I want to give you the example. The boy who books the boy who books the ticket. The boy who books the ticket has been cancelled. The boy who books the ticket has been cancelled or is cancelled. What do you write? Or the boy who broke the chair. The second example I am giving you. The boy who broke the chair will be punished. The boy who broke the chair will be punished. You mark who broke the chair is in the middle of the sentence. Who broke the chair is in the middle of the sentence. And that is why defining a clause is sometimes found in the middle of the sentence. And now I will give you the another example. You mark. This is the boy who broke. This is the boy who broke the chair. And here the relative clause, defining a relative clause, is at the end. It is at the end of the sentence. And sometimes it is used in the middle and sometimes at the end. In a straightforward way, in a straight and a simple form. In a straight and a simple form, the defining a relative clause is used at the end of the sentence. But in other cases, it is used in the middle of the sentence. And in defining a relative clause, dear students, in defining a relative clause, you will never find any comma. There should not be any comma, because that defining a relative clause has something to do with the noun or the pronoun. It is very integral. It is very indispensable. It is very indispensable, very integral of the sentence, of the noun, of the pronoun. And that is why comma is not needed. In defining a relative case, comma is not needed. But in the non-defining relative clause case, comma is needed. Here comma is not put. We will never use any comma. Use of a relative pronouns, we will see the use of a relative pronouns in defining a relative clause. If the subject of the relative clause is a person, you mark. If the subject of the relative clause is a person, we can use who or that. We can use who or that. Number one, you write down. If the subject of the relative clause is a person, if the subject of a relative clause is a person, we can use who or that. Who or that. Either who or that can be used as the subject of a relative clause. As the subject of a relative clause after superlatives and all. After superlatives and all. Anybody, nobody, no one, someone, etc. All, anybody, nobody, no one, some, etc. Someone, etc. also. And these are the formula. I want to tell you again. If the subject of the relative clause is a person, we can use who or that. Either who or that can be used as the subject of a relative clause. Either who or that can be used as the subject of a relative clause. After superlatives and all, anybody, nobody, no one, some, someone, etc. And I am giving you the example. Example number one. The girl who garlanded the chief guest is my daughter. The girl who garlanded the chief guest is my daughter. The girl. Here, the relative clause is in the middle of the sentence. The girl who. So, girl is a person and who is used. So, in the case of person, who and that can be used. The girl who garlanded the chief guest is my daughter. So, I gave you the example of who is used in the middle of the sentence, which is a defining a relative clause, and here you will never put any comma. The girl, comma, you will never give. The girl, you will never give a comma. Who will come directly? But it is a relative, defining a relative clause. In a defining a relative clause, there should not be any comma. You cannot use any comma. So, you come to the second category. In the second category, the grammarian wants to say, what does he say? Whom, who, that are used as objects if they happen to be persons. You mark. Whom, who, whom, who, that are used as objects if they happen to be persons. I am giving you another example. What is that? All that witnessed the match, we are happy. All that witnessed the match, all that witnessed the match, we are happy. Why did I give you this example? I gave you the use of who and that in the first category. In the first category, when who and that are there, where there is a person in the sentence, all about the persons. All is told about the persons. And that is why the second example is given to you. I am telling it only because of in the first category, we see the person, all are the persons, all are the persons, and the girl is also a person, and that is why the girl takes who, and all takes that, all takes that, and the girl takes who. So this is about the relative. You mark this is about the relative. And example, you come to another example. The man whom I met yesterday is a film actor. The man whom I met yesterday is a film actor. You mark the man whom I met yesterday is a film actor. Here, whom is also there, which functions just like a relative. The man whom I met yesterday is a film actor. So that is why when you want to use the relative, that relative clause is very close to the noun or pronoun. It is close to the main clause. It is close to the principal clause. Very close. Then without that, it has no meaning. The main clause has no meaning. Without that, without the relative clause, the main clause has no meaning. And by the time you will never put any comma. You will never give any comma. And sometimes in the case of a person, sometimes in the case of a person or persons, you can use who, that. You can use who and also that. You can also use. So, you come to another sentence. In a defining relative clause, no relative pronoun is used. You mark. In a defining relative clause, no relative pronoun is used if it functions as the object. If the defining relative clause is functioning just like an object, if it is functioning just like an object, no relative pronoun is used. No relative pronoun is used. You mark. In such cases, where the relative pronoun is dropped, it is said that the zero relative is used without any relative. And you can also write the sentence without the relative, zero relative, that is called zero relative. And without a relative, you can also write the sentence. But it is not dropped when it functions as the subject. So this is the difference you mark. The function of an object or the function of a subject. And when it is the function about, the function of an object, no relative pronoun is used. When it is about the function of an object, when the relative, defining a relative clause functions just like an object, no relative pronoun is used. And in such cases where the relative pronoun is dropped, it is said that the zero relative is used. Zero relative, that means no relative is used. But it is not dropped when it functions as the subject. When the defining a relative clause functions as a subject, the relative cannot be dropped. The relative can never be dropped. but it is not dropped when it functions as the subject. So I will give you another example. If the relative pronoun is in the possessive case, the only form used is whose for both persons and things. Only whose is there. If the relative pronoun is in the possessive case, if the relative pronoun is in the possessive case, the only form used is whose. Possessive case. If the only form is allowed is used is whose for both persons and things. For both persons, I am giving you example. People whose houses have been destroyed demand help from the relief fund. You mark. People whose houses have been destroyed. People whose houses, the people whose houses have been destroyed demand help from the relief fund. So that is why it is a possessive sentence. Whose is there and whose functions just like in place of whose functions in place of the people. That means whose does the work of the people. Whose does the work of the people. People whose houses have been destroyed demand help from the relief fund. So this is the example I gave you. Again, you come to another thing. If a relative pronoun is the subject, if the relative pronoun is the subject, we use which or that. If it is the subject, if a relative, number one, I have told you about the possessive case. You come to the subject. If a relative pronoun is the subject, we use which or that. For example, I am giving you the example. This is the film which or that. This is the film which or that won many awards. This is the film which or that won many awards. Won, W-O-N, won many awards. Which or that? Because it is the subject. Relative clause is the subject here. If relative pronoun is the subject, we use which or that. You come to another thing. If it is the object, we use which, that, or zero relative. If it is the object, I have told you earlier. If it is the object, we use which, that, zero relative. So, the example is, you mark, the example is, the book you gave me is interesting. The book you gave me, which is not needed. Which is not needed, that is not needed. The book you gave me, directly right, that is zero relative, without relative. The book you gave me is interesting. So that is why here it is the subject, the defining relative clause is the object. It is the object. The defining relative clause is the object, and we use which that zero relative also. Which that zero relative can do. And again, if it is an object, again you mark, if it is an object with a preposition, we use preposition plus which, etc. If it is an object with a preposition, we use preposition plus which, etc. So I am giving you the example. Pen with which I am writing is new. Pen with which I am writing, preposition plus relative. With which, with is the preposition, which is the relative. So it is noted that If it is an object, if a relative defining a relative clause is an object with a preposition, we use preposition plus which etc. Which etc. With which, from which, by which, all these things are needed. So the pen with which I am writing is new. So this is the thing I am telling. Again, if no comma is used, I have told you earlier, no comma is used before defining a relative clause or after it. No comma is used. Before the defining a relative clause and after, when it is ended, we will never give any comma. Because that relative clause has something to do with the noun. It is very close to the noun. And without that, the noun has no meaning. The noun phrase has no meaning. The principal clause has no meaning. The man clause has no meaning. And that is why comma is not at all needed. Two commas will never be given. So this is about the defining relative clause. You come to non-defining relative clause. A relative clause that does not define or identify. A relative clause that does not define or identify a noun which has been defined or identified already. Which has been defined or identified already is a non-defining relative clause. A relative clause, again you write down. Again you write down that a relative clause that does not define or identify a noun which has been defined or identified earlier, already they have been identified, is a non-defining relative clause. It only gives more information about the noun, more information, more qualification. It will add something which is not needed. If you add something, that can be discarded. That can be discarded. Mr. Mahapatra, who is our principal, is very close to us. If who is our principal is not written, Dr. Mahapatra is very close to us. Can be a sentence. So that who is our principal is an additional qualification. Is an additional thing that can be discarded. So there we can put comma. In a non-defining case, we can give comma. So you see, it only gives more information about the noun, but this information is not needed to define or identify the noun, person or thing that is talked about. The noun, person or thing that is talked about. A non-defining relative clause is always enclosed within comma. I have told you that a non-defining relative clause is always non-defining relative clause. What is that? That is an additional qualification. That is an extra thing. And that extra thing is added. That superfluous thing is added. That may be discarded. And after discarding it or after removing it away from the sentence, you will get the complete meaning of the sentence. And that is why, and its use may not be needed. Its use may not be needed. And if you need its use, we will give commas, two commas are there. So defining relative is always included within commas. Use of a relative pronouns in a non-defining relative clauses. Use of a relative pronouns in a non-defining relative clauses. Number one, you come. If the subject is a person, we use who in the relative clause. If the subject is a person, we use who in a relative clause. Who. And I am giving you the example. Number one, you write down. If the subject is a person, we use who. Tapana, who is a stamp collector. Tapana, who is a stamp collector, lives in a village. So here Tapana takes who. And Tapana takes who. And we will put comma after Tapana. And after stamp collector, there will be another comma. And two commas will be there. Because Tapono, who is a stamp collector. If stamp collector, who is a stamp collector, is discarded from the sentence. Tapono lives in a village. It will have a very good meaning, no doubt. If it is discarded, the relative non-defining relative clause is discarded from the sentence, is removed from the sentence. Then you will have a good meaning of the man clause. You will have a good meaning of the other sentence, man clause. And that is why it is an additional qualification or additional thing which is added to the sentence, added to the man clause. You may use, may not use. If you use, you will give 2 commas. You will give 2 commas. So this is about the number 1 thing. And I am telling you the number 2. If the subject is an animal, I have told you earlier, if the subject is a person. If the subject is an animal, if a subject is an animal, thing or place. Animal, thing or place, we use which in the relative clause. Clear? You should be very clear. If the subject is an animal, thing or a place, we use which in the relative clause. So, we take the example, another example. Puri, which is a holy place, comma, 2 commas are there. Commas must be there. In non-defining clauses, you must put commas. Otherwise, the non-defining clause, the sentence is wrong. The sentence is wrong if you do not give any commas. So, Puri, comma, which is a holy place, comma, is an ancient town. 2 commas are there. And which is there? If the subject is the animal, thing or place. If the subject is the animal, thing or place, we use which in the relative clause. Then you come to another category. If the object is a person, if the object is a person, we use whom, who in the relative clause. You mark. If the object is a person, we use whom, who in the relative clause. You take the example. You take the boy, who or whom. The boy who or whom you helped is an orphan. The boy who you helped or the boy whom you helped. The boy whom you helped is an orphan. So here I have told you whom, who are used. Whom, who are used. And this is about the C example. If the object is a person, we use whom, who in the relative clause. Again, you come to D, the category number 4. If the object is a thing, we use which in the relative clause. If the object is a thing, we use which in the relative clause. And the example is, what is the example? He gave a proposal, comma, he gave a proposal which you did not understand. He gave a proposal which you did not understand. He gave a proposal which you did not understand. So this is about if the object is a thing, we use which in the relative clause. Then you come to another point. We use whose for persons, animals, and of which for things. We use whose for persons and animals. We use whose for persons and animals, and of which for things. Which for things? I am giving you an example. This man who lives abroad, or this man whose son lives abroad, you mark. And this man whose son lives abroad often comes to visit us. This man whose son lives abroad, whose son? This man whose son lives abroad comes to visit us. Comes to visit us. And here the example is like this. And we use whose for persons, animals, and of which for things. We use whose for persons, animals, and of which for things. And the last category you come to In relative clauses, relative adverbs such as when, where, and why. Relative adverbs. In relative clauses, relative adverbs such as when, where, and why are generally used. Are generally used in place of preposition plus which. In place of preposition plus which. Preposition plus which. Again, you write. In relative clauses, relative adverbs such as when, where, and why. When, where, and why are generally used in place of a preposition plus which. In place of a preposition plus which. And I am giving you the example. The house where or in which we lived. You mark. The house where or in which. You may put either where or in which. The house where or in which we lived has been damaged. Has been damaged. The house where in which. Where or in which. The house in which we lived or the house where we lived has been damaged. So this is the last category you see. In relative clauses, relative adverbs such as when, where, and why. When, where, and why are generally used in the place of a preposition plus which. In the place of a preposition plus which. So dear students, this is about the relative clause. You try to understand. If you do not understand, you fail to understand, you try to memorize. You try to memorize, keep them in the memory, and gradually that will also help you understand everything. That will also help you understand everything. When we are reading in high school, our teachers advised us to keep all these things in the memory, because by that time that was analysis. By that time that was analysis. And analysis was a very difficult subject. Analysis was a very difficult grammatical subject. And our teachers advised us to keep these things in the memory, to memorize. And then, in the course of time, that will automatically help us. So, my advice is to you, my advice is that you should keep all these things in the memory, in your head. Then in the course of time, you will utilize that. And if possible, I will analyze again and again. So relative clause is very difficult, even if the adverb clause. The relative clause is very difficult. The clauses, the subordinate clauses, noun clause, relative clause, or adjective clause, and adverb clause are very difficult tasks. They are very difficult clauses. And we have to keep them in the memory and then utilize it where time comes. So this is about, dear students, this is about the relative clause. I have told you about the noun clause. Today I finished the relative clause. Then I will go to the adverb clause tomorrow. Then I will go to the adverb clause. If time permits, I will tell you again and again and try to make you understand. The good students will catch hold of the meaning. The good students will also understand everything. The good students. If the students lag behind, it is very difficult to catch hold of the meaning, to follow me. If the students are very weak in English. Normally it is marked, some of the students are very weak in English and others are very good. They are good at English. The students are good at English, but some of the students are lagging behind. And almost all the students should try their best to follow me, to see the video, to be attentive to the videos. And if you fail to understand, I will give you clarification. I will clear your doubt in the future, in the course of time. In the near future, in the course of time, no doubt. And I am giving you assurance that I will help you positively. I will help you positively in clearing your doubt from the mind. Thank you all. Thank you all.